1988 was the year of parity, the year when the level of competition and the number of competitive teams rose dramatically. Everyone looking for a piece of the $15 million pie, paid out over 16 national events across North America. The beginning of the year gave an idea of how close the racing would be.
The opening race of the 1988 NHRA Winston drag racing season took place at Pomona, California. At the Fairplex, over 119,000 fans jammed into the facility over the four-day event, with 56,000 people on hand on Sunday to see the season opener. Picking up with 20-car eliminator in round number one, Jim Head raced Trip Shoemake. Trip was driving for Billy Meyer, and perhaps the most successful privateer in championship drag racing. In qualifying position, Shoemake was in the number 3 spot, Head number 12. Shoemake battled to keep the burning car under control and off the guardrails. This was one of those runs where there was good news and bad news. The bad news was Shoemake crossed the center line, automatically disqualifying him. The good news is he was able to come out of the burning car and was okay.
That was a blaze.
It was. I couldn't see. I just hung on the brake and I hoped he was going to stop, and he hit the guardrail. Oh, man. And I couldn't. Anyway.
In the second round of Top Fuel Eliminator, the racers were confronted with a rather tricky track surface at the Winter Nationals in Pomona. Larry Miner qualified in the number 1 spot, while Eddie Hill, entering his first full season with major sponsorship, qualified in the number 5 spot. And the tricky track met Larry Miner. Going up in smoke right off the starting line, the engine exploded. Larry Miner was okay at the conclusion of his run, so was Eddie Hill. He had a 5:18 elapsed time to take the win. In Pro Stock Eliminator, Bob Clinton, the Winston champion, qualified number 1 for the 23rd consecutive time. He had not only to deal with the track conditions, but also increased competition, in this case, in the form of Morris Johnson Jr. And the victory went to Morris Johnson, a hole shot as he outdrove Bob Clinton.
It's moments like this that just make you work harder.
We're going to have to work harder, Steve. We worked quite hard in the winter, but as you can see, it's paid off better for some of the other guys than it has for us. We're going to have to get back and start over again and see what's going on.
I know you will, thank you. Hey.
3 times in a row, Kenny Bernstein has won the Winston Funny Car title, but he was concerned about 88.
Kenny going for a 4th straight world championship as you are this year, the pressure is really on you. You're the guy everybody wants to beat, and they say so openly.
Well, there's no doubt about it. 4 in a row is a tough thing to accomplish. 1, 2, or 3 was tough to accomplish. It was no different, but I think right now this is the toughest we've seen it.
The big winner this season will be the fans.
Oh, they're going to see one heck of a funny car season, because you got 5 or 6 cars that are running extremely well, and there's not going to be easy time anywhere. I don't see you'll see any domination like we had the earlier part of last year.
In the second round of racing at the Winter Nationals, it was the battle of the red cars. Mark Oswald against Kenny Bernstein, and Bernstein went up in smoke. Oswald went on for the win. This was an indicator of things to come throughout 1988 funny car racing. In Pro Stock Eliminator, in the final round, Butch Leal raced against Mark Powick. This was the first time Powick ever made a final round of an NHRA national event. Butch Leal had been there many times before, as indicated by his second place finish in 1987 in the Winston Championship. A pair of Pontiacs in the Winter Nationals final. Leal easily outdistanced Powick with a 7.45-second elapsed time.
Well, Butch Leal rolls in with a little fire underneath his Pontiac, but that was quickly taken care of. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Steve. You know, I'm home here in Pomona. I was born in California and live in Ohio now, and it just feels so good to win here in front of all these people. They've been cheering me on all day, and Gil's not here. He's in Florida on vacation, and this one's for him.
And it's Kirk, the car owner. Let me tell you, Pollock was right with you up that starting line. He's a young talent to watch for.
Oh, he's great. He's real great. He's really coming, and he's going to do it. He got here, and he knows how to get here now, and I look for him to be here all the time.
The final round of Funny Car Eliminator in the Chief Auto Parts Winter Nationals saw Dale Baldy race against Jim Head. Both racers reached the finals by virtue of upsets. In fact, all 4 top qualifiers were out of competition by the second round of racing. The win went to Dale Baldy, driving Bill Schultz's car with a 6.02-second elapsed time.
To these guys, you know, it is like winning the U.S. Nationals to them. This car, until about a year ago, never went past the first round. Now we won a race finally. We've been in the semifinals a couple times. It's great.
To keep pace with the touring pros, not keep pace, but to beat them. What an accomplishment for all. You're going to need a bus to haul these guys around if you tour this car.
Not the gang, that's the gang.
Congratulations again to all of you, Dale, and great driving.
Thank you very much.
It was a case of deja vu in the Top Fuel finals at the Winter Nationals. Joe Amato raced against Dick LaHaye. It was only 4 months earlier at the 1987 Winston finals that these 2 men sat on the starting line. The winner of this race was to be the Winston champion, and it was Dick LaHaye as engine problems removed Joe Amato from that final round of competition for the Winston championship. Now, in 1988, they started all over again. Joe Amato and Dick LaHaye. And once again, Dick LaHaye prevailed, winning the Winter National.
Low elapsed time, 5:13.
Oh, I thought it would do it, and I was just so afraid to try it, Steve. I mean, I'm almost in tears. I can't even believe this whole thing. I'm serious. It looks like we've got a nice hot rod here and a new car, and our motor combination looks like it's going to work. We just was very, very skeptical about stepping on it.
Dick LaHaye begins the season as he ended it, atop the Winston Point. Baldy and the over-the-hill gang, a surprise leader in funny car, but sure not to last given their limited schedule. Butch Leo, who last year started strong only to fade in the second half of the season, again off to a great start in pro stock.
The Winston Championship then moved to Gainesville, Florida, and the Motorcraft Quality Parts Gator Nationals. The racers were treated with some remarkable improvements to this massive racing facility.
Dallas, the improvements that have been made here to Gainesville Raceway say a lot about NHRA's commitment to the fans as well as the racers.
Oh, they certainly do. Of course, the fan support is what makes this all work. Gainesville Raceway has undergone about $1.5 million improvement this year. Interesting, Steve, there's about $18 million going into the national event facilities in 1988, and basically it's for the benefit of the fans that support the sport.
And the racers have more to look forward to than ever before.
Well, they certainly do. As you know, last night the NHRA in Winston announced the first $1 million point fund in the sport of drag racing. That really puts us, we feel, in the same league of NASCAR and kart.
The 19th annual Gator National saw some surprises in qualifying in Pro Stock Eliminator, one of the closest fields ever, with less than 7/100ths of a second separating the 16 cars. And the 23-event string of Bob Glidden being the #1 qualifier was snapped by Warren Johnson, who ran 7:35 to take home the #1 spot. In the first round of racing, Kenny Delco was matched against Bob Glidden, who only made the show on his last qualifying pass, qualifying number 11. It was another first-round loss for Bob Glidden, obviously struggling.
Normally, we like to come to a race, run well the first qualifying run, and that gives us a chance to play around with different combinations and maybe find something that works better on the racetrack. Here, we didn't qualify. It was the last session before we made it in, and same thing today. You know, we just had more problems.
The atmospheric conditions at Gainesville were absolutely perfect for the nitro cars, and they did not disappoint anyone. Frank Bradley had established one leg of a national record at over 286 miles an hour in qualifying. He needed a 284 or better for the backup. And Frank Bradley got the record, running 284.99 miles an hour on that run. Another racer looking for the speed record was Eddie Hill. He had run over 288 miles an hour in qualifying. He needed the backup on this run against Dick LaHaye. Hill did not get the speed record, but he established low ET in the meet at 5.089 seconds, 0.07 of a second quicker than Dick LaHaye's #1 time. The two fastest cars in drag racing met in the semifinals at the Gator Nationals, Eddie Hill and Frank Bradley. In winning that race, Eddie Hill set a new national ET record.
The quickest man in the history of drag racing at 5:06.
06.
That's a new national record.
Wait, backs it up.
That's right.
Faster and quicker than anybody's ever gone.
Ever.
In the same race. I can't believe it. Thank you, Super Shops and Pennzoil, for giving me the stuff to do it with. Jeez,
Well,
what?
you got one more round. Maybe you'll back up that speed, too.
We still got a shot at it, don't we?
Only 275 this time, Eddie. Where'd the speed go?
Huh, I don't know. Maybe got there too quick to build up any speed, huh?
The excitement was not confined to Top Fuel Eliminator in the first round of money car action. Mike Dunn wheeling the Oldsmobile against Jerry Caminito. All eyes were on Dunn. He had qualified with a 5:36. And problems set in for Jerry Caminito. The car losing an engine down track lanes inside the cockpit. And Caminito was able to bring the car to a safe stop. The NHRA Safety Safari was on the scene immediately, and the crewman jumping in to get Jerry Caminito out of that burning race car. Funny car qualifying at Gainesville produced its share of excitement. Everyone was interested in what John Force could do. Along with his crew chief Austin Coyle, Force is regarded as one of the most innovative in the sport. And all of the work paid off with a record-shattering time for John Force of 5.365. In the first round of racing at Gainesville, it was Kenny Bernstein against Chuck Etchell. Bernstein, along with his crew chief Dale Armstrong, have had their share of mechanical advancements, one of which is the multi-stage lockup clutch. And on this run against Etchell, it carried him to a new national record of 5.33 seconds elapsed time. The semifinals saw Kenny Bernstein race Tom Hoover. Bernstein and his crew were ready for the semifinals and another crack at lowering that national record. An action-packed run for the Gainesville fans. Kenny Bernstein set the record at a 5:31, and Tom Hoover had a giant wheel stand. He was okay. The finals in Pro Stock Eliminator saw Bruce Allen driving the Chevrolet against the Pontiac of Butch Leal. Allen had qualified in the number 6 spot. Leal in the number 13 position, but his reactions off the starting line at the Gator Nationals carried him to the final round. Leal got the starting line advantage, but Allen won the race.
Butch appeared to lead first, but you'll like this number, 736. Horsepower prevails.
The rear Morrison guys make some power. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that, Butch, I mean, what a guy you're racing. The guy goes out there and leaves on me almost every time. I think you need a new driver. We said before, more power or a new driver, and they gave me some power, so I got some reprieve.
The finals of Funny Car Eliminator at the 19th Annual Motorcraft Gator Nationals saw a continuation of the battle between the big red cars. The Winston champion Kenny Bernstein against the man that finished number 2, Mark Oswald. Bernstein was the favorite with that record-shattering 5:31. Oswald's best times had been in the mid-540s. And Bernstein won for the first time since Indy 1987.
5:35.
Oh, that's good. That's just what it wanted to do. It was a handful. It was a little loose all over it down through there. No tire shake this time, but it was moving around.
It was a handful on the 31 run.
Well, Steve, you know as well as I do, when you're running on those records, it's on the edge. You can go one way or the other, but, you know, you take the Budweiser Quaker State Buick Mack Tool car, and we're in there, and that's what all counts today.
The final of Top Fuel Eliminator at the Gator National saw the new national record holder Eddie Hill come into this race as a prohibitive favorite. The times for his opponent, Mr. Consistency, Joe Amato, were nowhere close to Eddie Hill's record-shattering 5.0s. What a thrilling moment this was for Eddie Hill after 3 decades of racing, winning his first national event.
With the win and the new record, Eddie Hill is atop the point standings. Amato, 2 for 2 in runner-ups, is second. Bernstein, with a win and record bonus points, moves from 5th to 1st. Oswald into 2nd place. Leal, in his 2nd straight finals, remains atop pro stock. Bruce Allen, with a win, moves into 2nd.
The 1988 racing scene then shifted to the new Atlanta Dragway near Commerce, Georgia, for the 8th annual AC Delco Southern Nationals. A crowd of some 40,000 jammed the facility on Sunday to enjoy the improvements that had taken place over the winter. Over $4.5 million worth of improvements were made to the Atlanta Dragway. 670,000 square yards of earth were moved. Some 200,000 square yards of granite blasted from the Georgia hillside. 200,000 square yards of asphalt were laid and over 5 miles of drain and sewer pipe installed, with a brand new grandstand seating 25,000 people and costing $1 million. The $4.5 million worth of improvements certainly justifying the title, the new Atlanta Dragway. The excitement level kept pace with the improvements at the new Atlanta Dragway. That was evidenced in the qualifying session and Top Fuel Eliminator between Chris Karamessinis and Richard Holcomb. Holcomb was on fire from the starting line to the half-track point. He did not qualify for this event. Karamessinis qualified 14th. Another qualifying run in Top Fuel Eliminator saw Eddie Hill against Randy Truxell. Truxell was in trouble from the start. He firebombed an engine. Truxell was okay, but out of competition. In Pro Stock Eliminator, Darrell Alderman against James Goodson, again in qualifying at the Southern Nationals. These cars are a handful to drive, and James Goodson proved it. After he hit the guardrail, James Goodson was okay. The semifinals of Funny Car Eliminator saw Kenny Bernstein race against John Force. This a tightly contested rivalry. John Force takes great pride in beating what he described as the big red car. And at the Southern Nationals, John Force prevailed. His elapsed time, 5.60.
Waited a long time, Steve. Didn't think no truck driver could get here, but let me tell you something. Last year, he took me and Coyle out here in the final round, and we just didn't know where we were at or whether we should be in this business. But today, she went out there, she shook, and that old red car made a move on me, and I thought, he did it again. And then that old muscle come in there from Coyle, and she drove around him, let him have a taste of that.
Sounded like you were driving that car with a throttle, too.
Yeah, she's, I'm going to give Coyle a little bit of help today, not much, but I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something very serious here, Steve. You know this. My dad passed away a week ago, and him and I used to talk right here in Atlanta years ago. He says, why does that guy always outrun you? And I said, I don't know. And he told me, well, you know, maybe it's mental. maybe your mind's not right. You know what, Pop? This one was for you here. We took him out.
The finals of Pro Stock Eliminator at the AC Delco Southern Nationals saw the Oldsmobile, out of the same sponsorship and driven by Warren Johnson, race against Tony Christian. Johnson, coming into this event, had won 16 national event titles. Tony Christian had won none. In fact, this was only the second final round appearance for Tony Christian. With a multiple car length margin of victory, Warren Johnson won the Pro Stock title.
A 7:51 finished it off.
Good. I think that's low ET for eliminations, too. I think that's good. I'd like to take this time to devote or wish Dave Gerard, manager of Motorsports, SVO for Oldsmobile, a speedy recovery. He's having a little tough time lately, but he'll come through.
A good friend of our own.
Yeah, and without his faith and backing, really this wouldn't really be possible. The AC Delco Oldsmobile came through just because of him.
The Southern Nationals at the New Atlanta Dragway was a great race for Ed McCulloch. After failing to qualify at the Gator Nationals, McCulloch came back to qualify in the #1 spot. This race was a rematch of the 1987 Grand Nationals where John Force defeated Ed McCulloch to win his first ever NHRA event title. But it was not to be at Atlanta. McCulloch won the race, setting low ET.
That was a good one. I mean, the boys are tough. This was our week.
5:52 finished it off. Low ET by 2 thousandths.
Well, that's good. I mean, the thing's running like, you know, our Oldsmobile here is running like a clock, you know. I just want to say one thing. A good friend of ours, dear friend of ours, David Gerard with Oldsmobile, a little under the weather. We want to wish him, you know, a quick return and come on back out here. This was for you, David.
For the second race in a row, it was Eddie Hill against Joe Amato in the Top Fuel Finals. Amato had qualified #1. Hill had qualified #2. But throughout the day, Hill's times had continued to improve. And as they came into the finals, Hill was the favorite. Amato smoked the tires. And Eddie Hill, for the second race in a row, was the Top Fuel champion.
Hill and Amato remain 1 and 2 in the point standings. Bernstein remains #1, but Force with runner-up moves into 3rd. And the ace, well, with his win, he moves into 5th place. Leal is still #1 in Pro Stock, but the performance of Christian and Warren Johnson moved them into 3rd and 4th respectively.
Memphis Motorsports Park in Memphis, Tennessee was the site of the newest event on the NHRA Winston Trail, and that, of course, the Quaker State Mid-South National. Built at a cost of about $7 million, Memphis Motorsports Park includes not only the drag strip, but a half-mile oval track, plus a full road course on the multi-100-acre facility. The drag strip portion of this racetrack gave the racers fit at the Mid-South Nationals. Eddie Hill had been the winner 2 times in a row on the Winston Trail. At Memphis, he was unable to qualify. The finals of Pro Stock Eliminator at the Mid-South Nationals matched Kenny Delco against Tony Christian, 2 surprising finalists. Earlier in the second round of competition, Christian, driving the Chevy Beretta that was powered by the Rare and Morrison-built engine, raced against Bob Glidden. Glidden had qualified 5th. Christian had qualified 9th. Tony Christian left on Bob Glidden by just a small advantage, but he didn't need it. Glidden continued to have problems and slowed near the finish line. The finals. Christian against Delco at the Mid-South Nationals. Kenny Delco broke a short distance down track. Tony Christian won his first ever national event title.
Well, congratulations, Tony, your first big win.
Thank you. So I want to thank my partners, Teeny and John, and especially everybody at Rare Morrison. Bruce Allen, David Rear, Buddy Morrison, Hines, Coleman, everybody down there. They
Run it all out.
If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
You know, Kenny Duckle had some problems. I had all the ingredients to be a terrific race. Kenny, come in here for a minute, if you would. Some sparks. Apparently, engine blew up, huh?
Engine motor up.
Get a rear Morrison piece. Get rid of that Eagles piece, man.
They're not fast enough.
Well, they were today.
And that's for my wife's birthday. I told her I'd win this one for her birthday. Today's it.
Memphis Motorsports Park provided all the challenges racers needed, particularly those at the wheel of the high-horsepower nitro car. Ed McCullough raced against Mark Oswald in the finals at the Mid-South Nationals. Using his great starting line reflexes, Mark Oswald moved first, won the race. McCullough set low ET at a 5:54.
Well, I'm just happy for Motorcraft and Strohs. You know, they've stuck with us. You know, they've been good sponsors, and we've been to the final rounds this year, but we haven't been able to win one. That's the first one, so really happy for them.
I'm happy for you because it was your driving, ultimately, that paid off.
Yeah, I can't get no trouble this time, huh?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The finals in Top Fuel Eliminator at the Mid-South Nationals saw the #1 qualifier, Darrell Gwynn, race against a rookie in Top Fuel, Dennis Forssell. These two drivers had met in the early 1980s when they were both competing in Top Alcohol Dragster. Darrell Gwynn with a 5:24 won the Mid-South National.
I have to take my hats off to Dennis Forssell. I'm really proud of him. He's a former alcohol racer and a good friend of mine. He was right there the whole way, and I knew it. 520s did it for us all day. We're real happy.
You had to move at this point in the season if you want to win that world title.
That's right. My guts and everything in me has been killing me. I've been trying to do too good has been the problem, Steve.
Amato has surged past Eddie Hill into the points lead. Gwynn in third, Forssell in sixth. Oswald's win moves him past Kenny Bernstein into the points lead, while McCullough makes the top 10 after his strong showing. And talk about a surprise. Tony Christian in the Pro Stock points lead.
The next stop on the Winston Championship Trail was Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the 13th annual Kmart Champion Spark Plug Cajun National. State Capitol Dragway had seen its share of improvements in pit area and return roads, and the racers definitely found it to their liking. Pro Stock qualifying incredibly close, with literally hundredths of a second separating 16 cars. As he came into his final qualifying effort, Butch Leal was not in the show. Butch Leal, unable to overcome his problems, did not qualify.
Butch, it's been a long time since the dreaded did not qualify has applied to you.
It sure has, Steve. It's been 5 years, and it's pretty hard to swallow. It really is. And but I got thinking about it last night as you lay down and thinking about the qualifying. I remember 5 years ago was the #1 qualifier versus number 16 was about 2500ths, and these days it's 7-5. We've had a 500 separating the field.
In the first round of Pro Stock competition at the Cajun Nationals, Tony Christian had a chance to extend his Winston points lead. He was racing against Frank Iaconio, who had qualified 13th, his best performance in a number of years. And Iaconio continued to improve with a quick reaction time upset Tony Christian. The loss by Christian gave an open door to Bob Glidden to make a move in the Winston points chase. But he was racing against the upset-minded Morris Johnson Jr. Earlier at the Winter Nationals, Johnson and his Pontiac prevailed over Glidden's Ford. Once again, Morris Johnson Jr. proved to be the better as Bob Glidden went down to defeat. In the final round, Morris Johnson Jr. raced against Bruce Allen. was the second final round appearance of 1988 for Bruce Allen. For Morris Johnson Jr., his first ever opportunity to win an NHRA national event title. The horsepower of the Rare and Morrison car prevailed again. Bruce Allen, the Pro Stock champ. By this, the fifth race of the season, the Top Fuel Winston Championship chase was concentrated on three cars: Joe Amato, Darrell Gwynn, and Eddie Hill. Gwynn defeated Hill in the semifinals to earn the right to race Joe Amato, who was making his fourth final round appearance of the season. And once again, Amato up in smoke, and Darrell Gwynn recorded his second consecutive Top Fuel victory. The finals in funny car eliminators saw a match of the same teams as was racing in Top Fuel. Bruce Larson out of Joe Amato's racing team with tuning expertise from Jim Richards against the car of Kenny Bernstein, the Budweiser King. This was a first for Bruce Larson. Never before in nearly 30 years of racing had he appeared in the final round of an NHRA event. And in a tremendously close race, Bruce Larson upset Kenny Bernstein.
The whole shot has done it. You've won your first one. How do you feel?
It's just beautiful. You know, it's a lifetime devoted to trying to get here, and we're going to stay here.
And I have to believe that looking at the performance today. Now, you said the car would run a little quicker, and it did pick up the pace a bit.
Yeah, I was going to give the credit to Tim because I thought horsepower won the race. I moved at the other end of the track.
No, you won it, my friend.
I know, but thanks. Yeah,
and so,
just, you know, I'm so pleased that I got to say it again that, you know, Century Tax Engages and my crew and the Amato crew have put me where I am. And after all this time, we're going to stay right here. Thank you.
Bruce Larson has won his first one and salvaged the day for the Amato team. No one is really able to pull away in the points fight. Gwynn's back-to-back wins moves him closer to points leader Amato. Hill still in second. Oswald stays atop funny car, but Bernstein is getting closer. Bruce Allen, with his second one of the season, moves into the points lead.